Hey everyone, what's going on? TN Mortgage number 42 with your host, John Coleman.
Hello, folks. How are you? You promised me you were going to stop saying the number, episode 42. Stop it. Okay.
They're climbing, they're getting higher, just like our age,
they are,
right?
they are.
Just like our birthdays.
Yeah, shh. Go on. We will, at the point that it passes that particular number, we will say nothing, okay? We'll just keep moving on as
Keep
if
it
did.
silent. I'll keep it silent. Well,
Absolutely. We haven't got there yet.
We haven't got there yet, but we're getting far with one thing, and that's AI. And so for those of you who have watched this channel and subscribed to the TN Mortgage podcast, you know that intermittently, like sometimes it's every year, sometimes every 6 months, but for the last couple of years, we've done a quick update of AI and the evolution of technology, particularly in the mortgage business and for John's business and the benefit to his clients. So we wanted to bring you a quick update on that. And John, maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose first and foremost, I think every time we've done this, we've always gone, I wonder where the world is going to be in 6 months' time, at what pace. And I think every 6 months, when you look at it, you go, oh my God, it's got even further than I could have even imagined it would get to that point, right? And this is, I'm going to give you a sort of what we've introduced about 3 months ago now. We have introduced an AI phone agent. Now, this is, I'm using it in its simplest form. Ultimately, my goal is always about getting human beings talking to human beings in the quickest time frame possible. So, yeah, when people put a form in and they put their hand up and say, listen, looking to get information on a mortgage, we have our AI agent. Now, it's openly telling people that we're not trying to hide anything. Say nothing personal. This is John's JC Mortgage's AI bot. Just calling to let you know we're sending you a quick email with a link, and fill that in, and then we'll basically have one of the advisors will look at it, and then they'll arrange a human being to an expert phone call, right? And it's working well. I still don't know. I've had the odd person turning around and sending me a message saying, sorry, there was an AI phone call, no interest. And I go, okay, that's perfectly fair. They're absolutely entitled to that view. I would always respond and say, listen, I'm not trying to replace the human being at all. What I'm trying to do is use the technology that's now out there to get human beings talking to human beings in a much more quicker and more efficient way. But listen, in any business, you're not going to please everyone all the time, right? And I'm comfortable with the processes, and I'm comfortable with what we're doing with regard to using the systems that are out there to give a better service. And obviously, we do have a good reputation. I would do nothing to risk that by using systems that didn't feel right. Okay, so I think in terms of authenticity around, because ultimately, I think we're all going to become immune to getting these perfect emails or perfect documents. I just think, because I know I see some things and I go, well, how much of your own brain input is into that, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, you can't replace the human being. You can't replace the feeling of talking to someone who goes, yeah, this guy gets me. This guy knows what he's talking about. And this is authentic. This isn't just been fed into a computer. The computer says X, right? Yep. So that's my fundamental view on all this, is that people will buy people, or people need people to live the journey. But this phrase I'm going to rob from you, my friend, right? The golfing caddy. So whereby AI isn't replacing anyone. It's just being the caddy. It's there to advise. Ultimately, the most important piece of any human relationship is maybe the 10% where the human gets to know the other human, gets to know what they're about. Maybe then the systems can do the drudge work, the stuff that can be done without no thinking. And then when that piece of it's done, the human then comes back in to go, okay, well, here's the assessment. This is, and I've just been able to make my role, it's been able to help me advise you in a more efficient and quicker way, which ultimately gives a better kind of journey for you. So we are using, and we are continually, I won't apologize for this, we're continuing to look at what's being brought into the world. And I'm continually asking myself the question, how can I make our team more efficient by embracing this, right? And it's scary with where everything is going, but exciting and challenging at the same time, because I can just see from my own business point of view, I can just see opportunity around it, okay, well, if I bring this in, we might normally spend 3 hours reviewing a client file before I'd have a conversation. Maybe I can bring that down to an hour, and suddenly, instead of the client having to wait 2 days to talk to me, because instead I need to review everything before I talk to them, maybe that can be brought back to 1 day, right? That's where I'm going with all this, in terms of how do we speed everything up? How do we get better information?
And I think that's a super important distinction, because what you're not trying to do is just create more. The term is AI slop. Oh, we could automatically send 50,000 emails, and we could automatically add someone's first name to make it look customized, and send out 100,000 LinkedIn messages, and just fill the world with more garbage AI content that's just generic, right? What you're trying to do is really focus on the customer journey, the customer experience, the client experience, and the outcome for them, and say, how could we eliminate inefficiencies? How could we perfect the system to free up more time where the professional you could be available for them, answer their questions, lead them as human to human. And so I think that's the correct use of AI, and that's always been your mindset. So we wanted to impress upon people watching this, and it's not just about how could we spit out a million things and bring in more clients and make more money. It's how could we improve the lives and the mortgage journey of the people who are under your care.
Yeah, and the generic stuff turns me off, shall we say. As I said, I don't really believe in it, because you can get the ick. I don't know if that phrase is correct.
AI ick. I think we can trademark that.
Yes, the AI ick from seeing things that kind of go, hold on, where are your thoughts here? What? That's not. They're not. And again, as I said, there is a certain place for using. Formulate your thoughts if you want, and use your own word, but don't be just taking what's thrown at you. You need to be the expert. You need to own this. I'm not saying don't use it to help make things look a bit better, right? As in, like, when I'm speaking or writing emails, my English can go all over the place. So
you really?
Yeah, yeah. I think my mind just wanders in all the different directions. So there is certain value in kind of having my words more kind of structured, shall we say, but it's me, right? So that's ultimately what I think is so important, that we use it in a way that benefit people, not mass marketing. Oh, I'm going to send out, as you said, 500 emails and hope one sticks. Obviously, it can be used to create more, to create, like as your role in marketing, it'll help speed you up, create more content to help business. But it's still got to be authentic, because I think if things aren't authentic, they will just get lost in a mire of garbage, to use your words. So from my point of view, I just feel I'm now at a point whereby I'm looking at every single piece of the business and kind of go, whoa, okay, how do we make this? How can we make this better, right? And not just accepting it. All this mortgage industry, and it's still painful for people, right? The paperwork gathering is never. There's no AI agent that's going to be able to. Maybe I'm wrong in saying this.
Go through your junk drawer and find your statements. And,
but the way the world is going, suddenly, like there is, and it hasn't. There's a thing called one source banking that hasn't really been fully embraced yet, but it would just give the banks the authority to go into all the other banks to collect the statements, right?
Yeah.
Now, it hasn't fully, I don't know why, I think there's some technical issues with it, but there might become a point. And at some point, by the way, like the way the world is going, and experts need to be wary of this. In my business, obviously, the information is out there to a point, right? So individuals can go online at themselves and say, I need to buy a house. How do I get myself a mortgage? What's the best? Now, I'm not worried by that, because I still think the devil is always in the detail, right?
Yeah.
And as it stands, I have to be careful what I say there. the AI isn't still quite got the little nuances. But maybe that's going down the track.
It still needs to be checked, even if it's right 99.999% of the time. A human being, an experienced human being who understands context and nuance, still needs to oversee it and look it over.
Yeah, and I think that's where, again, like, if I can help, because of the way the world is going, if I can now help 10 people instead of 5 people, that's great for my business, but it's also great for the people, because I'm very comfortable in knowing that I'm good at what I do and I care about helping people, right? So if I can help more people, like, for me, it's always been first and foremost, like, you get great satisfaction in being able to ring someone and say, go get the keys to your house, right? So yes, as a business, you want the business to do well, but if you have the mindset of looking after other people first, that takes care of itself, right? And I fundamentally believe that, right? That really takes care of itself. Because and if you bring that, and if you put you put the other person's interests always ahead of your own, always ahead of your businesses, that pays off in spades, Norm, in that people know you're dealing with someone who's authentic. They know that, like, I've said this to you a few times now. I always tell people, view me as the school teacher you didn't like in school, right? But you knew was talking sense. So I will tell people, if I can't help them, I'll tell them that if they've got a better deal where they are, if they have gone somewhere else, I say, listen, stick with what you have. There's no point in business with us. Or you're not ready yet. And sometimes you have to give them the tough love. That no AI agent's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, correct.
I think. Let's put a bookmark over that statement, because I think AI is now being used by people as a sort. You hear these crazy stories. I've heard stories where people are marrying their AI agent. I don't know if you heard anything like that. They have an AI partner, and they're looking for. You just don't know where the world is going.
Insane.
Yeah, like
but again, and we mentioned it before. That's this whole technology revolution and AI revolution. One unintended consequence is pushing people back towards authentic human relationships, which we're hardwired for. That's never going to go away. And it's like, again, the real girlfriend or boyfriend, not an AI agent. The people want to learn from human beings, not just always online. There's a lot more conferences, and it's also post-COVID. It's tribal. People want to gather again. And so it's an intersection of those two things. But yeah, the human being is always going to be the human being, but AI, I think, can speed up those processes, bring more value, better information. And your whole point to begin with is improve and increase the quality and quantity of connections with people who are looking for help, right? And that's how you use AI in your business.
I know, and watch this space. Where will we be when we do the next one of these in 6 months' time?
Yeah.
Ironically, with all the systems that we're growing or we're bringing on board, I still now have 30 people working with me, right?
Yeah.
Where a year ago it was 15, right? And I'm embracing technology the whole time, and I'm ultimately looking to build. So I am still bringing more people on, more human beings.
Yeah.
But I think from a business point of view, I wouldn't have been able to bring those number of people on board if I hadn't brought the systems in place that helped me bring more business,
create opportunity.
To create opportunity. So for me, or for the business, for our business, it's certainly been the investment in technology has helped me or helped the business bring more human beings into it.
Yeah.
So
the other thing it does, and we talked about this a little when we were talking about looking at your business and what's possible and your passion for new ideas and stuff, it's also stretching our imagination a little bit of what's possible, what we could do. AI is opening up these new possibilities, and really by the week, by the month, everything what used to be possible is out the door, and there's a whole new array of reality basically with AI. So I think it's stretching or challenge our imagination, stretching our imagination a little as business owners, which I see for you. You've been passionate about that for a while. Yeah, interesting stuff.
And I brought you kicking and screaming with me, Norm.
Absolutely. And I'm still trying to learn from you.
No, it's a two-way thing for sure. But yeah, no, it's exciting, slightly scary, all wrapped into one. And as you talked before, technology is great, but you need to keep your eyes open for sort of the downside of it. And there's greater brains than ours that are looking at all of this to see how does society move in a way that this doesn't destroy society at the same time. Yes. And I'm sure there'll be bumps along the way for sure. But as for anyone, I do slightly feel, and this is not related to our business, but anyone coming out of college or university right now, it's more like anyone that would have had been told, train yourself to be a computer programmer, right? Those kind of jobs, there are definitely grad jobs that are more difficult. People coming out of college trying to get themselves their first steps into the world. That's becoming more of a challenge. How that because ultimately, if they can't get in, or if they're finding it difficult to get in, if you look at it on a grand scale of things, that ultimately there's a bottleneck coming. How do these people get life experience? How do they get business experience? How do they suddenly find their way in? But
to reshift the opportunity, the other side of that is now there's a huge need for people that work with their hands, for plumbers, for electricians, for carpenters, for auto mechanics and stuff like that. There's always, with these imbalances, with these new technologies, there's always opportunities on the flip side of the coin.
Yeah, and ultimately, the people who can be, because in a way, everyone's at a starting point. No one can say they're an expert in this. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's the people who embrace this, who learn this, who can then present themselves to the world as an expert in this, because I'm not an expert in it, but I love talking to people who are. Who've done the 1,000 hours of really, to use your words again, I'm rubbing your words, some getting under the hood of the engine, right? And basically looking at all the nuts and bolts and figuring it all out. They're the people I want to be talking to. So that, whether someone straight out of college, someone who's just turned 18, or just someone who's 50 years of age, they all have the same opportunity with this. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Bring your brain to the point of
because of the emerging technology. Yes, I mean, there's a few very small group of these information scientists that were developing machine learning since the 60s, that they can move a chess piece for 30 years. And then all of a sudden, boom, this explosion has only been a couple of years or less where it's open to the masses. So we're all at the same starting line, basically, which is fascinating. Yeah.
We all have the opportunity. It's who's open to it, who would embrace it. Now, I know when I told you, laugh at this, I told my mom and dad that I was using this AI agent to make phone calls. I wouldn't talk to it. So there was an automatically, my mother was saying to me, that's a stupid idea. Right? Both my parents were of that view. And I was there for Sunday dinner. So in the most diplomatic way possible, I had to tell them that they weren't my target market. So it was
exactly. But they're also not in a position to buy a first home, or they don't need a mortgage, right? And so you need to be prepared to adapt your technology use to whichever demographic you're helping or looking to help. And it's pretty distinct.
I need the right people working with my business to keep me ahead of the game, basically, right? And I'm willing to invest in that.
Yeah. And you always have been. You've been early, and to the point of, not that you became the AI expert, but you've been early in adopting and experimenting.
I think there's early adapters, and then there's the people who come along, and then there's the people that are still in the Stone Ages, right?
Yeah.
But the early adapters get the headaches.
Yeah.
But I do think it still puts me ahead of the game in relation to where I am and where I am with my thinking on it. I think it's more of a, if you're still 5 years ago in the way you do business, okay, you might be coming kicking and screaming, but you're still probably only going to jump to 3 years ago. But if you're moving yourself forward, you're ready for the next thing that's coming. Again, maybe I'm simplifying it a little bit, but it's so moving at such a pace that today you think something's possible. 3 years ago, I thought I was making the major breakthrough by being able to check paperwork, right?
I remember,
And I've been quite proud of that, and I've invested a lot of money in that, right? And I'm not looking at it kind of going, it's not as good as I thought, right? But it has helped with efficiencies, and I don't know, it's a mad world we're living in, buddy.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, where early adapters, they waste time, they waste money, some things work, some things don't. You paid a lot of money for that, checking paperwork and stuff. And now ChatGPT could do it with a €20 a month subscription. And more or less.
It's not as simple as that, but yeah, I take the point in relation to
Where the volunteer first monkeys shot off into space.
yeah, the guinea pigs were.
It's actually what tools, what systems, what cuts corners, what helps, what's automatic.
I'm a big believer in this, but if you're going to a client, it still needs to look authentic, in my opinion. It cannot scream ChatGPT. It can be polished. Where are your thoughts on this?
We talked about 10-80-10 yesterday, if you caught that.
Yeah.
That's so important that, again, I say it to my financial advisor clients because they understand this analogy. I say, AI is still the caddy. It's not the golfer.
Brilliant.
Where it could guide you. It could give you information. It could give you best practices or best opportunity to succeed at whatever you're doing, but it should not be making the final decisions. And now, not only the AI language, you see these long posts by people now on social media, even when they're personal, and you could tell the format. You could tell the format, the structure. So our filters are evolving as human beings with we could spot what's AI, where 6 months ago, 2 years ago, we couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. And so I think there's actually going to be a push back towards the authentic.
Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm recording my own words and I'm just saying, tidy this up, but use my own words.
That's smart. Yeah.
I think that keeps it authentic. It just keeps it to the point whereby it's believable, right? It's just put together in a better way.
But it's not formulaic is the word, because a lot of ChatGPT, what it spits out is the same formula for everyone, the same structure of how things are written.
Yeah.
And how many. And so, so 10-80-10. Like you're saying, you need to review it and go over it and make adjustments at the end to make it more human and authentic. But what's scary now is that people aren't going to be able to write. People are by the month getting dumber. And it used to be like, write this. And now 6 months from now, half the population's not going to be able to write a one-page.
Because I imagine the kids at school are just getting ChatGPT to do their homework. Like where, but part of me would worry about the long-term effects on jobs, right? And the world economy as such, right? Purely because all the kind of, there's a certain level of, for example, I'm now looking at, I think I said this to you, building my own Monday.com version, right? Purely and simply, do you know what my bill for Monday.com this year is going to be?
No.
€25,000.
Jesus.
That's all based.
What are you doing with Monday.com that it's so high?
Because I've now got 30 people working for me, Norm.
Yeah.
There's your answer. But 2 years ago, just to see this, 2 years ago, the thought of building my own system it's going to cost me $100+ grand, right? I'd say I'm going to get my version of Monday.com for about 10 to 15,000, and maybe then $3,000 a year in the maintenance. I'll have it paid back in a year. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, interesting.
So if I'm thinking like that, this is where I'm going with that. So if I'm thinking like that, there must be a dozen other people with a similar thought process, right? Where suddenly building is now easier. So then a company like that, suddenly the demand falls off the cliff. All the people's jobs in there potentially go and if that can happen, so suddenly there can be, because everything can become more efficient, the need for people doesn't. I had a conversation yesterday where I'm looking at building I have a team in India, and they also have their partners with a tech team, and I'm looking for them to potentially build all the beautiful stuff that Eamon's telling me I need to build, right? And getting them to do it. So instead of hiring more people in India, basically get these agents to be more efficient so that them working with the humans can create the efficiencies that I want. So that reduces people, right?
Yeah. And it's the only parallel we have really in society is the industrial age, probably. And how everything changed. And people were still using horse and plow, and then all of a sudden it was tractor, and a number of jobs that, and so there's always unintended consequences, but there'll definitely be a painful shift where people just don't have the amount of money in this world, I just don't understand it, which is another conversation. But like in the US, the prices and the average person just doing some job that is not that impressive, and households have to make 250 grand a year just to be middle class, basically,
Yeah.
and still don't have health care. I'm like, how does that add up and how is that sustainable? And so I think AI might be the thing that pushes us over the cliff a little bit into a huge economic restructuring, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think we'll be out the gap by the time it's all over, Norm. I'm hoping. I don't think the consequence, though it is moving so at such a speed. Like I think maybe in 3 or 5 years I'll be out the gap. I'm done with the race of business. But I don't know what I would do. But
and again, it's all this technology. People still want people. It's still inherent to us. So no one wants to buy from a perfect robot. They want a human being saying, look, this is, you could trust me on this. This is what to look out for. And so I still think there'll be a push back towards humanity, whether that's content creators, artists, in-person events. And I think that's going to be sped up by AI. Now, the younger generations, they do a lot of stuff online, but they can't interact with human beings. Someone who's 25 years old, all they could do is this. They can't look someone in the eye and say, hey, I hear where you're coming from and I feel your pain and I went through the same thing and here's how we could get you to your goals. I don't know. So I think there's still going to be some room for younger dudes like you and old dogs like me who could actually interact with human beings.
Oh, so man. Yeah, it is a scary place, but exciting because for me, I love new ideas. So I get motivated by new things. I don't like to stand still. So for me, this is like heaven in a way, in that my mind is continually being stimulated with new kind of prospects, concepts. So I'm seeing things and okay, blah, blah, and I'm trying to put it out. So it's keeping me alive. If that I don't mean that, but it's keeping.
It's a lightning bolt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's keeping the juice flowing in me to the point whereby it's going, wow, this world's exciting. What can I do to bring all this picture of what I have in that I'm seeing I'm learning new things, but what am I doing with it? But it's funny, Norm, and we were definitely ahead of the game on this. I made you do this 2 years ago on AI, if you remember, right? I think we've done 3 of them. Probably at 6-month intervals, right?
Yep.
And dear God, I'd be interested to look back to what we were talking about a year and a half ago when we did it, when what we were predicting. I'd say we were predicting we don't know where we're going to be in 12, 18 months' time. And I'd say the same thing today if we were being asked about it. Where do we see the world from a technology point of view? But it's the case, the 10-80-10 that you were talking about yesterday as well. And so suddenly if 80% of everyone's job is gone, just to conceptualize it like that, right?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's huge. But unless suddenly the output can become greater across the board, but there's a chunk missing. So what happens to the people who do that 80%? Do you understand? How do they get redeployed? How do they get retrained in different areas? Because obviously within my own business, I'm looking to basically enhance the skills of the people that are working with me. I would never want to let anyone go, nor do I have any intentions of it. I want to get them better and more skilled at what they're doing, or free up their time to do what I would, this kind of sounds naff, but the sort of the higher value activity, shall we say. And from a business point of view, the higher activity is always about bringing in business, right? Always about helping more people and ultimately making the business more profitable, that you can in turn invest more money in technology that can in turn help bring in more business. But do I then need, and this is where the nub, in a normal kind of working business, you'd go, I'm bringing in more business. I need more people to support that business. Now I'm bringing in more business. I need more bots or agents or AI agents to make sure that with the existing team that we have, we can basically be as efficient, if not more efficient, than the way we are. Where does the incremental increase of employees or human. I can't believe we're using these words to describe employees, but the human being employee, right? Where do we, what happens there? Do you know what?
It's interesting. And then you think about like, maybe a smaller, and then you said, so you work like AI efficient, high value work begets more work, meaning more clients coming in. So instead of hiring human beings with AI, you meaning in general, like a business owner, maybe deploys more AI work, right? More bots, more agents, more. So that's work for their AI team, but it's disproportionate. It's not hiring 20 reps to do admin. It's giving more work to one person or one team. But then you look at human experience, then people like food, people still grow food, still need to produce food, still grocery store. So I think they still go out, there's entertainment, there's transportation. So I think AI enhances a lot of that stuff, maybe makes it efficient, removes bottlenecks, improves productivity. But I still think there's a lot of human jobs out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a huge,
I just don't know. No one knows where the balance is going to, where the equilibrium.
and it is all about, it is about the balance. And because ultimately, as you rightly point out, there's so many jobs that there's no way that we, like the likes of anyone that works with their hands, plumbers, electricians, anyone that's where there's physical manual labor involved, right? I suppose where the AI is at its most efficient is taking repeatable work on a computer. Let's view it in its simplest terms like that. So the simplest work on a computer that people might have, that a significant percentage of people spend their day doing, that can be replaced, right?
100%.
And that's, I have no idea of the numbers. I have no idea of the percentage, but it's a significant amount of, a large part of society would be working in front of a computer and moving data from here to there.
Or even people like, you think of Department of Motor Vehicles in the US, just taking this form, stamping it, collecting this document, stamping it, putting in computer. A lot of people, a significant portion of the population has low-level white-collar jobs, meaning they're not doing plumbing, they're not fixing roofs, they're doing admin, white-collar job, but very low level that's very replaceable by AI. So people need skills, they need education, not just English, classical, romantic English lit, bachelor degree, that doesn't help, but skills and education for technology, for business systems like that. But it's crazy, man. I don't know where it's going to end up.
Yeah, watch this space is there and keeping ourselves, keeping ourselves up to date as best you can to see where I'm viewing it simply in how do I make my business more efficient that ultimately gives my customers a better experience. And that's why that's the mindset I'm looking at it from. It's just when I lay awake at night thinking about the sort of the bigger picture around it that I go, oh, is this such a good thing? Do you understand? And obviously I'm embraced with the buzz and the excitement of building something using it. But when you take a sort of a look at society and look at where does it ultimately bring us?
So it's not good. It's definitely not good, but it's also not bad. Like any technology, when does the evolution of the human race on this planet point towards something good? Like, we're not heading in the right direction as a human race and what we're doing to this planet. But think about this, like all of a sudden, if AI starts curing cancer or, you know what, and I say cure cancer, but you know what I mean, like advancements in medical development and technology and information and gene splicing, all this stuff, all of a sudden, just the medical, so that improves quality of life, but then some people may lose their jobs. So with any technology, I think there's good and bad. The axe could kill someone or the axe could harvest a crop. And
and that's very nicely put. You're really good with your similes, mate. I can't speak as eloquently as you.
That's all I got, John. That's all I got. I stay up all day and night thinking about it.
What was that one? The one you used earlier on was the
AI is the caddy, not the golfer.
They are the caddy, the golfer, and this one there, the axe. Yeah, okay, buddy. I'm going to bow to you. There's no bot's going to replace you, my friend. Okay.
I hope everyone enjoyed this episode number 42 of the T and Mortgage podcast, our update state of the world and AI. John, thank you as always.
Likewise, buddy. And yeah, keep up the good work. And I'm learning from you rather than any AI. Your use of English is, I listen to you and I go, God, he's so eloquent. And I'm going to go back to my mother again. She said, John, that guy Norm, I love that he speaks so well. Why can't you speak as well as him? I do my best.
It's just the American accent's a novelty.
Possibly. Anyway, listen, folks, obviously any questions around this, or more importantly, this is all about buying a home in truth. If any of you have any information or need any information, just drop me a mail and, we'll respond as quickly. And it'll be authentically from me. Okay? That's my promise.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next episode.
Bye.